It's the end of the year. Christmas only just finished a couple of days ago from when I'm recording this, which means that the year will soon be over. And like most people, I like to reflect on things that I've done on the year. And for this video, that would be on games that I've played. And to be honest, this year isn't that much. I've done a lot of replaying rather than playing new games, but I've played enough to at least make a top 10 games I've played this year. Of course, I do things a tad differently, however. I like to not limit my games to release this year, but any game I have completed this year, or for multiplayer games, at least 20 plus hours. Remakes and remasters do count as well, but I'm only allowed one game per series on the list. And games I haven't completed this year are eligible for next year. But those will be shown when we talk about the honorable mentions. But with the rules set out, let's get into it. About 2 years ago, the first Robocop game hit the scene. This is a continuation of that game, akin to old games being its own small standalone experience. It's around half the time of the original game, but it's just as fun with some small added bonuses, while being able to play as Alex Murphy, which isn't that fun in comparison with the Tin Man himself, but it's still a neat addition. The story in this game is pretty solid too. It was enough to keep me interested as we go around, but the map itself is way weaker than exploring the world of Robocop's Detroit. The map feels like it's very weirdly laid out, but for killing waves upon waves of mercenaries, those small details don't matter in the long run, as overall, the same run and gun action from the first game is still alive and strong, and that's enough for me to place it here on the 10th spot. Also, like, doing Doom fatalities to them is super cool too, so that's an additional point. This game is why I wanted to mention that remasters count on the rules, as I've played the original games but not the complete collection. These games, at least for me, are step-ups from the original, as adding their own flair and really their own identity, especially with the finale. If anything, this game's spot is here mainly for that. I loved it from start to end, a really great way to end the whole collection, but the other stories are still goofy, wacky, and batshit insane as I remembered them. If you want to hear my full thoughts on the game, I made a whole video about it, but honestly, if you're watching this video, you've likely already seen it, so I won't bore you with all the details, but with all things considered, it's earned a spot here. Quite the decisive Pokemon game, but since it's in my top 10, my opinion on this game should be obvious. While some parts I think are quite annoying, mainly no fast options especially compared to another game on this list and how basic the quests are, I found myself enjoying the game. The Legends titles have been some of my favorite little projects that Game Freak have been messing around with, and I think this game is a step up from Legends Arceus, if not in the gameplay department. I do think the story of Arceus is better. This game just feels like it being dragged around by MZ's sheer incompetence, and managing a hotel in AZ and Joy making 1,000 killing machines. But the live, bustling nature of Lumio City trumps any real need for the story, seeing the wild areas grow while you grow with the city, venturing around and helping the civilians. It makes the place feel lived in. I like the direction this game is going with, although not something I want the main titles to go in fully, I really do respect them trying out different things after almost 30 years of the same experience. We will just need to see what the next title does, because if they build on top of the base that this game has, I think that the next game will most likely be a home run. I just really hope it's not empty like Scarlet and Violet. MOBAs aren't really my cup of tea, honestly, but just like Dragon Ball The Breakers or the many other Dragon Ball IPs, you put Goku on there and I'm fucking running like I'm Broly. And honestly, I found myself enjoying this game so much. It's a super casual MOBA, it's short and sweet, matches take less than 10 minutes, so you can get in like 3 matches and then go on with your day. It also helps that the game's on mobile and consoles with full crossplay and cross-save, so you'll never miss out on the progression. I've already put a ludicrous amount of hours in it, and the roster is so vibrant. Some faces that, like, when was the last time you saw fucking Invisible Man in any Dragon Ball media? It's been a while, and OG Bull is my favorite series, so it gets a bonus point in my book with Major Metallitron and stuff like that. The only downside is, although it's quite casual, it's very easy to lose. If you simply just get unlucky with certain divine draws, or an opponent is a little too fed, either by levels or snowballs, it's very easy to simply just get crushed, and so too your enjoyment. Not to mention that sadly, Australia doesn't actually have its own dedicated server, so I'm always having to play with 100 plus ping. But I'm willing to deal with that little pain to jump around as Broly. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, nor am I a Disney guy, so I have never really found any interest in playing Kingdom Hearts. It's a mix of two things I never really truly grew up with, but my friends always raved on about how the games are good and things like that. So this year, I finally opened that door to see what I was getting myself into. And although I haven't fully 100% everything in the game with the super bosses and the like, I've got to say that I actually really enjoyed everything about it, although I'm not quite used to the games like Kingdom Hearts. So it was a lot of growing pains in between a lot of sucking and getting filtered. I'm an Unga Bunga man, so a lot of the cool mixes you can use with elemental attacks eluded me. I just want to smack things. And then I used it on a platform, the whole gravity attack, and I felt like a caveman discovering fire. And while playing the post-game stuff, I'm finding more and more things. I'm just impressed. But I will say that a lot of the enjoyment comes with some small downsides. I wasn't the biggest fan of the gummy ship. Some of the worlds were quite weak, especially in their designs. And Ansem was a very boring fight. But not the first half. The first half was an actual blast, but I really didn't enjoy the second half. But the ending had me gripped and ready for more. So when we go into 2026, I wonder which game in the franchise will make it in my top 10. Because if they're good or better than this game, then it'll have a place just like this one. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of survival crafting games, which is why I am shocked by my enjoyment of Palworld. It feels weirdly fresh, as it's both linear with its story, but also open-ended. You don't need to take on the towers to progress, for the most part. You can take it at your own pace, while you explore the world, take on optional dungeons, quests, fight the boss powers, and really just explore to your heart's content. I did a lot of enslavement of humans. I've got a problem. Now, for the most part, I really haven't touched the base building aspect of it, mainly just exploring, looking for effigies to get more powers, but with the new update adding so much more creativity and honestly streamlining the system, I genuinely respect the game for having something for everyone, and is a blast with friends, so I recommend giving it a shot, especially if you like fishing, because with the Terraria crossover, the greatest thing in mankind is available in this game, and honestly, it brings a tear to my eye because it's actually pretty fun. Games like Telltale have really died off in the modern era. With the company going bankrupt, it's quite unfortunate. The choose-your-own narrative stories got replaced with your classic walking simulators like Until Dawn, or the game that will not be mentioned. But in the background, with the help of Critical Role, a game that brings back the same life as the Telltale games, but arguably better gameplay than any of their games, have blown up on the scene and masterfully took over the internet for an entirety of November. 2 chapters came out weekly for this beautiful game, and kept everyone on their toes with a mix of solid slapstick with some cringe-inducing moments, but also fun time-based strategy gameplay that helps with each of the Z team's commentary and abilities. It's the best of both worlds, but the game really hits you with "Keep up." No! And that, for me, genuinely got me fully hooked. A whole week of waiting with bated breath for the conclusion of the story, which I honestly don't want a second season of. Unless it's a separate team or an epilogue, it ended so perfectly, and trying to add on top of it feels impossible for me to see where they could go with something so fantastic. But with the people they have on their team, they may be able to pull it off. I'm just glad that this might bring the rise of Telltale once more, because, you know, The Wolf Among Us too, like, come on, like, what's going on? Please, just give it to us, man, just give it to us. Dungeon crawlers have been a genre I've dabbled into every now and again. Games like Mary Skeletor or the mystery dungeon games like be it Pokemon or Shiren, but I haven't played a game like Etrian. Now, I've played the trilogy on Steam, and although I haven't finished the third game yet, since the second game sucked my soul dry for that 100%, so that leaves the first game to be in the third place spot. What can I say about this game truly? Well, I love the world, it's warm and cozy, making your own characters that live in the world and you grow with them. It makes it feel a little special as you explore to uncover the secrets of the tree that the world surrounds itself in, finding all sorts of secrets and finally uncovering the massive twist, which can be seen even in future Atlas titles. The gameplay is quite brutal, but also fair, as you have the choice to be beaten about or have a leisurely stroll through the dungeon, making your mapping and becoming a true adventurer. It's really hard to put into words, but simply, the gameplay surrounded by the music, the world, the characters, and the storytelling that happens due to it all just makes an amazing title, and that has left me wanting more and more, like a starving dog. The second and first place spot was really hard for me to decide, as they're on par for me, but I ultimately decided that Digimon Time Stranger is in second place spot. Keep in mind, this is the base game only. The DLC will be in next year's list if the quality is good. But what can I really say about this game except that it's genuinely peak. I really love this game so much. A fresh continuation. This has some small growing pains. I'm not the biggest fan of the agent ranking system and point distribution, but it's visually stunning. The RPG mechanics are fleshed out, and the story keeps you entertained. It's also decently challenging. I found myself using character reversal a number of times, especially when you can use it on yourself, making it so you can have full parties of 1 or 2 Digimon types and cover most weaknesses. That also counts for the multipliers on attacks, doing as little as a 0.3 to a whopping 4.5, as they now added traits onto the multiplication. There's just so much planning in this game that you can do to prepare for the big bosses. And with the looming threat of a future that is complete Armageddon, you feel like you need to prepare as much as you can. I'm planning on doing the game again on the hardest difficulty while I wait for the next DLC, because they're adding my favorite Digimon with Bancho Lilymon, so I'll have even more to enjoy in 2026. But if Digimon is here, then what could be number 1? Before we talk about number 1, I just wanted to do what I always do, show a list of games that I have played and what has unfortunately been uncompleted, and thusly will be eligible next year. Like I said, I didn't play too many games, so it's not a long list, but I do have a single honorable mention, and that's Saeko. I made a video about this game, and I still think it's a decently solid game, but even I can admit that although Saeko gave me brain rot and forced me to make a video on it, Robocop can make me shoot a guy in the nuts and then throw a bin at him. But Saeko is still a good game, and that's why I wanted to mention it. But with that, let's talk about the final game. Metaphor is my favorite game of the year. Not really shocking, at least for me. It's generally one of those games that you either don't get at all, or it's a game that hits you right in the soul. And for me, it's the second choice. The story is rather generic when you look at it full, but the twists and turns were done quite well. Luis is a compelling and interesting antagonist. The humans came straight out of paintings they were inspired from, and most importantly, it's probably got some of the best combat in an Atlas game in my opinion. A good mix of demon skill fusing and the press turn system that you'd see in an SMT game, or having the calendar system you'd see in a Persona game. It genuinely feels like the ultimate fusion of the two. But the thing that truly made me say this is my favorite game of the year was honestly the whole area in the Dragon Temple, that one that fully recreates Lost Shinjuku from the original Etrian. It felt like a weird nostalgia for a game I only played less than a year ago. It was very beautiful to see, and I got lost in it. This game is visually stunning when it wants to be, and although I think that the modeling is a step down from the genuinely beautiful concept art, it still has its own identity with the orchestral voice work that surrounds the game. It has its own identity and a strong message, and that's why for 2025, it's my favorite game that I played. And that is 2025's list done. Not gonna lie, it took the will of God to not put a shitty Expedition 33 number 1 meme in this video, but I do plan on playing that game next year, so it might actually have become reality, but we'll just have to see if the French have it in them to actually cook, or if the Game Awards is actually rigged. But joking aside, 2025 has been a solid year for gaming, at least for me. I really hope I can play more games next year to make a tougher list to rank. What is your favorite game this year? Let me know in the comments, and while you're here, give me a like and subscribe so I can see you all in 2026. But for now, I'll see you next year.